Every year, Nebraska fans start off the season wondering, is this the year Nebraska is going to win more games? And every year for the last decade, it's been the same answer, a resounding no. In fact, 2021 and 2022, as we'll discuss in a moment, were historically, titanically bad. Nebraska turned in the worst 5 years that the team has seen in over 2 generations, a titanic disaster. And fans want to know, hey, is it going to get better in 2023? And are we going back to the old days? And by old days, I mean Bo Pelini. Well, the answer to that question is, spoiler alert, yes, Nebraska is going to win more games. I'm Don Collins. This is the Don Collins Show. And I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why I believe Nebraska is going to win more games in 2023 than it did in 2022, 2021, 2020, 19, 18. We're going to turn around a 5-year slide in 2023, and I'll tell you why. Before we talk about how many games Nebraska is going to win in 2023, I'd like to ask you to do something here as we close out 2022 and simply subscribe to my channel. If you'll subscribe to my channel and email me your mailing address to doncollins@mail.com, anybody who subscribes to my channel and emails me their mailing address will get something really cool in the mail, something Husker related, when I hit 2,000 subscribers. So email me your mailing address. Well, first subscribe and then email me your mailing address at doncollins@mail.com. And when we hit that 2,000 subscriber mark, I'll send you something Husker related in the mail. Here's how bad Nebraska's record has been in the last few years. When coaches of the past were losing only 2 games a year, that was seen as a disaster. Fans were freaking out. And now we've gotten used to a team that's only winning 3 or 4 games a year. The number of games that Nebraska would have lost, and that would have been shocking, that is now the win total. But this year, I do believe things are going to be different. I'm going to give you 5 substantive reasons why I think 2023 is going to be different than 2022. First of all, the strength of schedule. Nebraska's opponents in 2022 have a combined record, Nebraska's opponents in 2023 have a combined record from 2022 of 48% wins. That's including Michigan. Take Michigan's 13 games and 13-0 out, and the combined record is only 42%. Historically bad. Only one team that Nebraska is going to face in 2023, as of now, things could change with preseason rankings, but as of now, only one team is ranked. That's Michigan. So Nebraska has a historic opportunity against historically weak opponents, given the record, to again, have some games kind of go their way just because their opponents aren't that good. Second reason is because 2022 was the bottom. It was the bottom for morale. It was the bottom for player development. It was the bottom for play calling and terrible clock management, angst and craziness both on and off the field. It was the bottom for fan morale. 2022 was a confluence of events that was so bad, so terrible, that at the end of the season, Mickey Joseph ends up in handcuffs. Listen, hold on. Think about that. The year starts with Scott Frost being let go. And the guy that takes his place is no longer associated with the team because he's accused of strangling his wife. That's how bad 2022 was. You've just never lived if you don't understand what happened last year off the field was killing the morale of those players. And because of that, how many games do you think Nebraska would have won last year? Out of the 8 games they lost, is there even one game Nebraska could have won if things off the field were different? If the coaching was different? If people thought that, if the culture was not rotting from the inside? Sorry to get emotional about this, but I'm just keeping it real, dude. This is ridiculous. What happened in 2022 was a titanic, absolute meltdown, freak out disaster. And that's not happening again. The third reason why Nebraska's going to win more games is because they're going to win the games they're expected to win. You know, at a bare minimum, Nebraska's not losing to Northern Illinois. They're not losing to Louisiana Tech. And I know this is going to maybe a little bit, we'll talk about this game specifically later, but they're not losing to Colorado either. The days of Nebraska losing games they're clearly supposed to win, those are behind you. That's behind us. The coaching staff, the players that are on the team and that Trev Alberts are putting together, they're going to win the games they're supposed to win, and that's going to change starting in 2023. You know, I can remember when Bo Pelini let that running back, was it Melvin Gordon, for Wisconsin run up 400 yards against Nebraska. I remember watching that game, and I thought, after 100 yards, like in the first quarter, I just said, put another guy on that dude. You know, slow that guy down. Then at 200 yards, I'd have been like, you know what, let's put 3 guys on him. At 300 yards, I'd have pulled the coaching staff and the players on the sidelines. I said, listen, I don't care if we lose this game. I'm not going to be an asterisk with a record like that hung around my neck. It's not happening. We see what I thought and what you thought watching that game in particular, and what Trev Alberts felt watching Nebraska on the field last year and lose games they shouldn't have lost, at home especially. There's people with pride. The pride is back in Lincoln. Let me say this to you again. You know, Adam Carricker likes to talk about, you know, throwing the bones.
Throw the bones.
Let me tell you something. Bones will be thrown in 2023 because the pride in Lincoln is back. They're not going to lose those games they're supposed to win. That takes me to reason number 4. There's going to be a game this year that's going to be an iconic win, a signature win that we're all going to look back on and say that was the moment that Nebraska went from not just winning games it was supposed to win, and even winning some of the games that were, you know, against maybe evenly matched opponents. But there's going to be a game in 2023. It could be Michigan, where Nebraska is going to win a game, and that's going to be when the tide turns. I told you at the Oklahoma game, I thought in the Oklahoma game, Nebraska had hit bottom, and that we were going to look back on Nebraska on the Oklahoma game and say that's where the ship is run ashore. Now things are turning around. The train's going in the direction. Whatever analogy you want to come up with. But the people laughing and joking and insulting and all that right now are going to be cheering somewhere down the road, next year or two. There'll be a lot of cheers, a lot of people standing up and being proud of being a Husker fan again, because this team has just bottomed out. Well, in 2023, we're going to move from that was the bottom to here's a clear demarcation line in the sand when Nebraska becomes Nebraska again. And the 5th reason Nebraska's going to win more games is because it's not just that they're going to win the games they're expected to win. And it's not just about an iconic win this year. It's because they're going to have wins this year that would have been losses by 3 or 4 points, and Nebraska's going to get over. This is it. The string of years of Nebraska barely either squeaking by, rarely because they lost more games than they won, or barely losing, which was more often the case, that's behind us. Because again, that's a symptom of a mindset problem. It's a mindset problem that comes from the top down, and the top at Nebraska has been fixed. Trev Alberts and Matt Rule, regardless of what you think about Matt Rule as a coach, and I called him oatmeal. I'm not convinced that Matt Rule is a national championship guy, but I am convinced he's a man of integrity, a man of decency, authenticity, hard work, accountability, a great recruiter. He's doing things right now that are shifting the mindset of the staff, which will shift the mindset of the players and what they expect. And those 3-game losses or 3-point game losses are going to become wins. Last year, there were 5 games that Nebraska lost. I put those up on the screen right now, with an average of 4 points. This happened again last year and the year before and the year before that. This is a symptom of a team in moral decline, cultural decay. Those things have changed. It's as if there's a change in the weather. No pun intended. It's really cold right now, but it's going to get a lot colder for teams that come to Lincoln, because Lincoln is back. The pride is back. Teams that would come into Nebraska and laugh their asses off after they left the field ain't going to be chuckling after they get punched in the mouth in 2023. That's not happening. The pride is back. When Nebraska hits the field, it's a different attitude. And that attitude is going to translate into wins. And those wins in 2023 are going to translate into 2024 and beyond. In 2023, bones will be thrown.